of the benefits. That's what I always hear. It's not always easy. You're fighting with yourself internally, whether if you want to listen to the outside world or to listen to your voice. What gives you joy? I decided to do the latter. My parents and I always have this talk. It's okay. You can stop doing your business. I feel like you're struggling. I feel like it's too hard for you. But Ma, I'm the one that's doing the business. How can you say that it's hard when you're not the one doing it? But then again, that's what life is all about. Life is hard. It's a matter of choosing your heart. Eating healthy is hard, but so is staying unfit. Reading is hard, but so is being unknowledgeable. Starting your own venture because it gives you joy is hard, but so is staying in your comfort zone that drains you. So you choose your heart. And this is when I realized that what aligns with me is choosing my heart. I love doing my business, doing my new venture. It gives me joy. It aligns with me. It is what my inner voice tells me. The mindset change that I've gotten along the line in my journey, I know I still have a long journey to go, is to acknowledge how hard it is. No rooms you enter is ever easy. No job you enter is ever easy. So that's when I feel the alignment. That's when I sort of like found myself. And that's how I got here. Because I continued to listen to the voice inside me. What I thought all this time is to listen to others and not knowing what to do. I found my answer. And in the end, it wasn't about finding the perfect plan. It was about finding myself and build a life around it. Before I close my speech, I would like to leave you with a quote by my favorite author from his 48 Laws of Power. You know, it's Robert Greene. Do not accept the roles that society forces on you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. I resonate a lot with this. Because when I finished my O-levels, I really didn't know what to do. I don't know who I was. So I listened to others. What their definition of success, taking A-levels route. I didn't listen to myself. So from this, if you're feeling lost, if you still don't know what to do, don't worry. You still have yourself. It's time to pause, look inwards, and ask yourself, does this bring me joy? Does this make me happy? Does this align with me? Eventually, you'll find your answer. Not immediately, but eventually you'll find your answer. Thank you.
Sometimes I'm not sure that I'm capable of doing something until I'm already doing it. We all have examples of that within our own lives. Things like acing that test, earning that promotion, or the one that truly terrifies and strikes fear into the heart of all of us adults, getting virtually anything done at the DMV. Oh gosh. But in all seriousness, at times these things can feel unattainable to us. But maybe they shouldn't. My name is Panise Oliai, and I'm here today to demonstrate to you why you're capable of more than you think. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, great. Another one of those motivational speeches that sounds so nice, but ultimately does nothing. But like you, I understand how difficult it is to summon the courage we need to achieve our dreams. And so today, I'm going to do something just a little different. Today, as a longtime student of psychology, I'm going to offer you a tool. We call this conceptual tool mind over matter, and I'm going to use it today to help you harness your very own power. Now, we'll be starting off with a couple of examples from that beautiful science of the mind that we call psychology. Next, I'll take you through the findings of those examples. Why does it matter that there's a connection between our minds and our bodies? What does the connection of mind over matter mean about ourselves, about each other, and about the world around us? And finally, I'll tell you about how you can apply the concept of mind over matter to your lives and the lives of those around you. Now, the first thing I need you to remember, and this is really important, don't let it go, is that mind over matter is absolutely everywhere. It is in our daily lives, in the air that we breathe and the light that we see. Don't believe me? Let's give it a shot. So, on the screen before you, you'll see what's an illustration of the Bezold effect, first coined by Wilhelm von Bezold. It's a pretty simple picture, isn't it? You have two main objects on the screen. One is a background. And as you can see, it is much darker on one side, my right, than it is on the left. It's a gradient. Easy peasy. In the middle of this background is a rectangular bar. And that rectangular bar also looks like a gradient. It is much lighter on my right side than it is on my left. It's an inverse of the background. Now, I know you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. You're asking yourselves, why is she explaining this? I can see very clearly what's going on. But if you'll just give me a moment, I want you to look very closely at what happens next. Because when I remove the background, you'll see that this rectangular bar in the middle is actually one solid color. It's not a gradient at all. It is a solid shade of gray. Let's try that again. Now you see it, the gradient, and now you don't. All right, let's try something else out. This is another one that is very, very popular in terms of its fun cognitive illusion test. This is an illustration of the checker shadow illusion, coined by Edward Adelson. This is also a fairly simple picture. As you can see, there are two squares marked on this checkerboard. One is marked with the letter A, and the other one is the letter B. A, as you can see, just as plainly as I can, is much darker than B. You can probably guess what I'm going to do next. If I just remove everything else, you'll see that A and B are the exact same color. To try that again, A and B, clearly two different shades, and all I've done is remove the background. Now, if your head is spinning and you're upset at me removing the background, I promise for this next one, I'll make it a little easier on you. For this next one, I'm not going to be changing anything at all. I'm not removing any context. You'll have the slide in front of you as long as you like. next one is a particularly big favorite of mine. This is an illustration of the cafe wall illusion, talked about because it was first seen on the outside of a cafe wall. Simple picture, right? You have a couple of black and white squares alternating, and you have different rows of this pattern, slightly offset. The offset, I'll give you a hint, is what makes this illusion so much fun. As you can see, there's something just slightly off about this picture. All of the horizontal gray lines running through this picture are slanted. They're kind of wonky. They look like they're on the verge of running into each other. But if you look at each individual row, you'll notice that all of these gray horizontal lines are perfectly parallel. There's no slant to them at all. Zoom out for a moment, see the slants, and zoom in for a moment. Focus on one individual row at a time, and you'll see what I mean. What do all of these examples mean? Have I just brought you here today to show you how evil psychology is? To make you wonder why I'm making you question your perception of reality? I promise, there is no evilness of psychology involved. In fact, as such a beautiful discipline, psychology exists to show us why we have these cognitive illusions. I promise, this is no magic trick. I haven't secretly changed the lines while you weren't watching, and I certainly haven't changed any of the colors in this illusion. All I've done is show you how your own eyes perceive the world. Why would our brains do this to us? Is there something wrong with the way that we're seeing the world? Not at all. You see, a long time ago, it was vital to our very survival to be able to distinguish between one object and another. All of these tricks rely on the way that we perceive darkness and brightness, light, shadows, and of course, contrasts. Our brains rely on that because they help us to see and understand the world more quickly. And as you can probably imagine, the faster you can distinguish between one object and another, the likelier you are to survive. The faster you can figure out what is a threat to you and what is harmless, the likelier you are to get out of that dangerous situation. And so our brains have evolved this miraculous and incredible ability to quickly distinguish between objects, just to help us. Now, what you've seen today are a couple of perceptual illusions, but I'm going to take it a little step further. I'm going to talk to you about something that might seem fairly familiar, placebos. Now, you've seen some perceptual illusions. You know so far that your mind informs your reality, the way that you see things. But placebos are a fun little example of how your mind can change reality. For those of you who don't know, a placebo is a very simple concept. It is a treatment that actually has no medicinal or therapeutic value. In essence, it does nothing to your body. Few examples of this are some fake pills. They're often made out of sugar, fake injections, things like saline, and they even have fake surgeries where they put you under, but they do basically nothing to you. Why do these treatments exist? Well, there's this very fun phenomenon called the placebo effect. Pretty fitting name, huh? Psychology is good at those. But the thing about the placebo effect is this. If I have a raging headache and I'm in a lot of pain, and someone gives me a pill telling me that this is going to relieve some of my pain, I will take that pill with that expectation. And lo and behold, even if that pill is made of sugar, it will actually reduce some of the pain that I'm feeling. Remember, there's no medicinal or therapeutic intervention in this case. All that's happening is that my expectations are changing my reality. Quite literally. What happens when I take that pill is that I expect to feel better. And so what does my body do? It tries to match that expectation in my mind. My brain releases things like dopamine, a chemical that will help it to feel good. My body releases things like endorphins, a hormone that reduces stress and relieves pain. And before you know it, just like that, I am already feeling so much more healthy and optimistic. And in case you forgot, there was no medicinal or therapeutic intervention involved. All that happened was that I had a belief. That's all. I know, at this point, you're thinking, okay, placebos, cognitive illusions, I've heard of it all. But I'm going to give you one last psychological example that you might not have heard of. And this is the example of biofeedback. Now, biofeedback is this incredible intervention that psychology and medicine have constructed. Let's say that we have a patient, maybe someone in this room, who is experiencing a high heart rate. Their heart is going far too fast. That's dangerous. They want to lower that heart rate as much as possible, and they want to have it be an effective and quick treatment. The healthcare provider, in this case, can attach a couple of sensors and electrodes to the patient and hook those sensors and electrodes up to a device. The device will emit noises or lights or show a number on the screen that corresponds to the person's actual heart rate. So all this person is getting is some feedback about how their heart is doing. I actually did this exercise right before my speech with an individual who is also a speaker today. Because, people get anxious, even the best of us, and we need something to calm us down. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But what happens next is something that the machine does not control at all. The patient is fully in control of their heart rate. They watch the screen, the numbers, the flashing lights, or they listen to the noise, the sound of their heart rate. And just by watching or listening and concentrating, they lower it. And it works. There is nothing that the machine is doing but just giving them feedback about their heart rate. Without even knowing it, the patient, listening to their real-time feedback, starts to relax their muscles. They start to control their breathing. And moreover, sometimes they even think positive or grounding thoughts. Again, in case you missed it, the machine has done absolutely nothing, but the patient's heart rate is lowered. The implications for this are astounding. Biofeedback can apply to lowering your temperature, or raising it if you like. It also applies to your blood pressure, to headaches and migraines that you might have, and even to your brain activity. Just by concentrating on the real-time feedback that your body is sending out, you can actually change your physical health. Again, your body starts to match your expectations. If that's not an example of mind over matter, I'm not sure what else is. Because the truth is, all of these examples show how powerful your mind is at controlling you and your reality. It doesn't just change how you see the world. It changes the physiological reality of your body. That is incredible. When someone tells you, don't worry about it, it's all in your head, just relax, chill out, that phrase now has so much more meaning. It is all in your head. And that's the beauty of the concept of mind over matter. This puts the power back in the hands of the individual. But I know, at the same time, that you're wondering why this matters. You're asking yourself, why does it matter that I have a little bit of control over my head, or over my body for that matter? Why does it matter when there are so many more serious issues in the world that we find hard to address? In this life, we are in control of so little. At times, I despair about the things that I cannot control. I think about things like international politics, like violence, inequality, just to name a few. And when I start thinking about those things, even things like climate change, it is easy to lose hope. But the question of why does it matter can be answered basically within the very foundations that we've just talked about. It matters because I am one of the few things that I control in this life. And that applies to all of you. We might not be able to control much, but if we control ourselves, we control our perspectives, our expectations, and the way that we interact with other people, then we control much more than we previously thought we were ever capable of. Now, at times, again, you might be wondering how this comes into play. For me, just thinking about the concept of mind over matter has made it much easier to manage my life. And now I know a bunch of you sitting out there, students and professionals, have probably experienced the horrible, anxiety-inducing, debilitating, terrifying problem that is procrastination. It's exhausting, and you have to admit it. I see a deadline that's a month away, and I'm like, oh, great, that's a month away. I have plenty of time. The problem with that is that I relax, kick back for an entire month, and the night before something is due, I panic, I stress out, I start to cram and type out as much of that paper as I possibly can. It's unhealthy. And for a lot of us, in both of our academic and professional lives, it is a debilitating issue. But once I realized that mind over matter is a powerful enough concept to change the way we see things, I realized that it's all in my head. So all I really need to do to fix procrastination is to just, change my perception of reality. Easy, right? Like piece of cake. But the truth is, it does become easier when you think about the very power that you hold. What happens when you think about mind over matter is that you realize that you have power over your entire view of reality. And I use that to my advantage, and I hope you can too. What I did was set a couple of false deadlines. Sounds simple, right? That thing that was due a month from now is now due in a week. And man, if I can convince myself that that item is due so much earlier than I thought it was, then I will feel the pressure to complete it. I started making myself believe these false deadlines by plugging it into everything I came across. Planners, calendars, and even sticky notes. And once I convinced myself that something was due much earlier than it really was, I got started a little earlier. I saw that I was able to complete the things that I wanted to on time. Was I still a little stressed out? Maybe. Did I still rush to finish within that week? Sure. But it changed my life to such an extent that I can say that I'm a much less stressed out person now. I can focus on the beauties of life and enjoy the time that I have with friends and family and even just myself. All because of a minor change that I made while recognizing how powerful the concept of mind over matter is. Another way that the concept has helped me is by helping me look at the bigger picture. We all have this problem. Psychologists will often refer to it as catastrophization. Now, catastrophization is something that I think many of you will be familiar with. This notion that the moment something small goes wrong, you get a grade that you don't like on an exam, you miss out on an opportunity, or even you lose something that is a treasured object, you start thinking about the worst case scenario. Your mind starts going down the spiral of anxiety, and all you can think about is the horrible thing that could happen in the future. You think about the absolute worst that can happen, and it's agonizing. What hurts us even more is that the worst case scenario often doesn't happen. And so we waste time and energy and emotional burden just dedicating ourselves to thinking about the worst case scenario that is hardly likely. Catastrophization is a problem for many of us. But the way that we can reframe our reality comes into play even here. The question that I constantly ask myself when something doesn't quite go right is, how much is this going to matter? I start to stretch time in my mind. How much is this going to matter a year from now? Maybe a bit. Maybe I'll be walking around and thinking about, I really wish I had not missed that opportunity. That would have been nice. 5 years from now? Well, I don't know. I'll be starting on my career. I'll probably be thinking about, what I'll be having for dinner. And a million other things will be on my mind. I'm not sure how much I'm thinking about it. Stretch that out even further. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and the incident that you are so stressed out about dissipates. It becomes sand, like the sands of time. There are so many grains of it, so many moments in our lives that we can stress out about, but don't need to. And when we stop agonizing and catastrophizing, we become healthier. The research has demonstrated that we live longer lives, quite frankly. And the theme that I'm going to keep coming back to is that we enjoy our lives more. Enjoying our lives more makes us better people, better friends, and better community members. And so already, from such a small, quick question that you can ask yourself, you have contributed to making the world a better place. I know that's dramatic, but bear with me for this last one. The last major tip that I wanted to share with you all today was the concept of connecting the disconnected. Just like those connect the dot games where you produce a beautiful, fuller picture, I've come to realize how important it is to connect the parts of my life that previously meant nothing to each other. The many students, academics, and professionals in this room can all attest to this. We think of different disciplines as distinct. Things like law and medicine, math and philosophy, all of those things feel like separate categories to many of us. And even if we work in a field where we combine those, the common themes that they share aren't always on our minds. But take it from me, a student of psychology, history, and political science. These subjects all have more in common than you could possibly think. For me, thinking about the different themes that these topics share has made me realize that at the core of all of these disciplines are people. I love people. And just by connecting the dots, by thinking about what psychology, history, and political science all tell us about people, even if they disagree, just by doing that, I have made myself someone who can hopefully better understand, relate, and spend time with people, the thing that matters to me most in life. And so just by doing that, I'm able to create this new common thread that had never existed before. We call that synergy, when two separate concepts come together and their sum is so much more profound than it could have been separately. So by connecting these dots, as disconnected as they seem, we all have something to gain. For me, that meant passing on a piece of advice to my sister. My sister is my favorite person in the entire universe, the light of my life. And I hope, growing up as her older sister, I've been able to use this ability to connect the dots to teach her more about people. Today, she is one of the most wise, well-informed people I have ever met, and her relationships demonstrate that to me. As we know, that trickle-down or ripple effect is quite the real one. She constantly instills that same value amongst the people that she meets. And it helps to create a better community at her school, in her neighborhood, and in her work going forward as a nurse. Long story short, this small connection of the dots that I realized, passed on to my sister, and that she'll pass on to her friends, community members, and her patients, that makes a difference. But all of these 3 tips that I've shared with you today are just a few examples of how you can use the concept of mind over matter. There are so many different ways to imagine that concept, and I cannot wait to see what all of you come up with. All of your brilliant, diverse experiences culminating in this web of knowledge. So ultimately, what does mind over matter mean? It means recognizing that sometimes the boundaries between the body and the mind are blurred, and that is a beautiful thing. It means recognizing that the way that you perceive the world even just your expectations, they make a difference. And it means that we are not static, unchanging people with limited abilities. We are profoundly complex, liminal, transient people who move between our capabilities, our complexities, and our potentials. There are limitless possibilities before us. Because if your expectations inform your reality, then the only limit is your imagination. You and I and everyone is capable of so much more than you know, than you have ever thought, and perhaps more than you will ever know. You are capable of immense growth and complexity, and that is what the concept of mind over matter teaches us. In the depths of the terrifying and enormous problems that we see in our daily lives, inequality, violence, climate change, you name it, it is easy to feel alone, to feel isolated, to feel helpless. But the fact that you have control over yourselves, your lived realities, and that you can influence others gives you so much more power and agency than you ever thought possible. To all those out there wishing to make a change in your life and the lives of others, you are capable of so much more than you think. And the science proves it. Thank you.
So instead of going to Google, I went to humans to create my
Have you ever heard of this saying? Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it will become your destiny. This saying shows that everything starts with our thoughts. The roots of our destiny are in our thoughts. Today, I want to show you how important it is to carefully watch your thoughts and how you can create a successful mindset. Our thoughts determine how our life looks like. You think that sounds crazy? Well, I want you to imagine this situation. You want to take the bus to go to work, to university, and you usually need 5 minutes to your bus station. But today, you have only 2 minutes left. So, though it seems impossible to catch the bus, you decide to run and just give it a try. So you step outside the door, and while running, you have 2 options now. You can either think, oh damn, I'm way too late. I won't make it. I will miss the bus and be too late at work. What a shitty day. Or you have another option to think, well, I still have 2 minutes left. I can make it. I will catch the bus and be on time at work. Today is a good day. As I'm a person that is most of the times 15 minutes late, I know the situation for my whole life where I run and try to catch the bus. So some month before I started my own business, Fempreneur, I had a mind-changing experience. Again, I tried to catch a bus. But this time, I really thought positively. I really thought I can make it. And guess what? I caught the bus. So you might call it luck. But I experienced many times afterwards, in many other situations where I had this kind of thinking, that I deeply believed in it, that I can make it, and that I put all action in it to make it happen. Somehow things turn out much better for me and increased my life quality. So, what do you usually think in this kind of situation, for example, this bus situation? Most of the times, we tend to think the negative way, if we're truly honest with ourselves. But why are we tending to think so negative about the outcome of our efforts? I assume we are afraid. We are afraid in case we don't reach our goals and we would be disappointed. Or we are afraid of what other people may think of us if we don't reach our goals. So I want to show you that you have in every kind of situation two possibilities to think, either negative or positive. So if you look at this bus situation, what do you have to lose? The next time, if you're in this kind of situation, just give it a try and turn around this negative, I can't make it, I can't do it, into a positive, I will do it, I will make it thought. And if you want to train your mind, oh, I forgot this. If you think this, you have to repeat it, and not only do it once. You have to make positive thinking a habit. So, if you want to train your mind, you can easily write every evening down what was a positive thing of your day and what was a negative thing of your day. And you'll probably see that most of the times the positive moment outweighs the negative. And so you can train to focus more on the positive things. Let me give you another example out of my life that shows how much positive thoughts and our images in our mind can help us to make our dreams come true. So when I started being interested in entrepreneurship, I read a book by one of the most successful founders, which became my inspiration, Richard Branson. He's the founder of Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records, and so on. And it became somehow a goal for me to meet him one day. Actually, I had this idea of meeting him for some coffee on Necker Island and just talking about some business and philanthropic stuff. And as crazy as this thought might seem for other people, I always deeply believed in it. And I always had this image in my mind of how the situation would look like. Well, I have to disappoint you a bit. Until now, I haven't been on Necker Island, and I didn't meet Richard Branson there. But another thing happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was invited to Bits and Pretzels as journalist. It's a founders event in Munich. And Richard Branson also had a keynote there. So you can imagine how excited I was to at least see him from far on stage. But remember, I told you I'm always 15 minutes late. Well, as much as I was determined to really be on time, somehow things turned out totally differently. My train had to take a detour as there was a car accident, and I missed my other train, so I got late. And I couldn't get in the conference room anymore because it was already fully filled, and the staff didn't let me in. But my mindset had changed within the last year from complaining about this or being frustrated about this and just be negative to take action and finding a solution to get there in somehow. So I was talking to the staff and telling them, I have a press ticket, please let me in. But still, the room was fully filled and they didn't let people inside anymore. But another thing happened. They told me there would be a press conference afterwards, which I didn't know about before. So I couldn't believe my luck because I had this press ticket and I could get in. So I went to this little room and saved the best seat in the front row. I met some other journalists before I was talking to them and offering a seat next to me. And then Richard Branson came in and I couldn't believe it. He just sat an arm length away from me. So I had the opportunity to ask him a question. But I wasn't picked to ask. So then the moment rose up where it was said, now it's the last question. So I was like this, hoping that they would pick me. And the guys who sat beside me showed to me and were like, pick her, pick her. So Richard Branson's attention came to my person. And I had the chance to ask him a question, which I didn't imagine at all in the morning when I got up. So, people might call me a lucky girl. But the thing is, what no one sees, I always believed in this deeply, and I always thought this would happen one day. And in the end, my thoughts became reality. The idea of thoughts become things is a law of attraction. Everything that is coming to your life, you are attracting this into your life. It's being attracted by the images you hold in your mind. It's what you are thinking. Whatever is going on in your mind, you are attracting this. And always remember that. And if you're interested in this topic, I would recommend you the movie The Secret. But only by sitting at home and hoping and wishing for a better life, nothing will ever change. You have to take action. So the first step is to think about what you truly want. What you truly want. Not your parents, not your friends, not society or anyone else who has some expectations about your life. So, if you know what you deeply thrive for, just try to imagine how the situation would look like and how you will feel in this situation. And then, if you walk around with open ears and eyes, opportunities will show up to you. And then you have to take action and not let it pass. Say yes to the opportunities that show up in your life. And usually, we don't feel prepared enough for it, or not ready for it. And I wasn't prepared at all for asking Richard Branson a simple question. I'm not a real journalist. I studied business administration, and it just happened that I found the online magazine Fempreneur. So I had two choices in the situation. I could see all the negative things, and I could focus on my fears. There was an opportunity showing up, and I could just let it pass. But I took action, and I focused on being courageous. And that's the difference between successful and unsuccessful people. To take action. But how can we create a successful mindset? Well, to train our brain is quite easy. We can easily replace our old destructive belief sets through a healthy and successful mindset. I have written down on a little piece of paper that is taped on my mirror some mantras I repeat to myself every day. It sounds so easy, I know. But I realized within some weeks, a month, almost automatically, my perception has changed. And just to give you some inspiration, maybe for your new mantras, to create a positive mindset, I will give you some examples from my piece of paper. So, of course, on the first, I see the positive things in every situation. I determine about my success. I focus on the things that I can change and not on the things that I can't change. And I'm open and grateful for the changes in my life. So make sure, if you write down your mantra sentence, so the things that are important to you, that you write it positively. And don't use the word no, because our brains can't process the word no. Just to give you a short example, if I tell you, don't think about a red car, what happens? You probably have the red car in your mind. So, I have a final exercise for you today. I want you all to get up from your seats. Please get up. Move. Perfect. Okay, guys. Imagine there is a bell ringing in 250 high. So it's kind of like here, so somewhere above your head. And I want you to jump and ring this imaginary bell in 250, which is kind of here. So 1, 2, 3, jump. Perfect. Not sit down, please. Now imagine the bell is in 3 meters, okay? I want you to jump again for 3 meters and ring this bell. 1, 2, 3, and jump. Perfect, thank you. You can sit down. So, you might already see my point in that. As higher you set your goals, the higher you will jump. And the more effort you will invest, and the more you will do to reach your goals. So if you think about your goals, always aim high and dream big. Be open and willing to learn lessons along the road, and always keep in mind that our thoughts determine our success in life. Thank you very much.
Emotion is the key to set you free. Yes, you are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies, but the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough? And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always thought self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good, and even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend that noticed that I was quick to defend her when she'd say something negative about herself. She'd say, I'm so dumb, and I'd say, you're so brilliant. She'd say, I'm so weak, and I'd say, you're so resilient. And when she said, I feel ugly, and I said, you look beautiful, she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, and you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug, and she said, treat yourself like someone you love. Treat yourself like someone you love. And now, I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me is the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I'm not any more special or unique than you. That's why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me. They are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for. Thank you. Already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me. They are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for. Thank you. That poem is one of the most viral in history. It has been viewed over 250 million times. When it was first posted in 2018, it spread like wildfire, and overnight I saw an explosion in my social media following. I got invitations to speak all around the world, and I dropped into a deep suicidal depression. I was in Bali when it happened, because that's where you go when you're a hippie and you're healing from a breakup. Tropical weather, great food, beautiful sunsets. And one morning I turn on my phone and I immediately notice that something's different. I have thousands upon thousands of new followers. My poem hadn't gone viral, it had gone mega viral. It got 40 million views in the first 48 hours. In fact, it would continue to get more than 1 million views a day for the next several months. But with that came the messages. Hundreds of DMs that flooded my inbox, most of them being messages of appreciation. They said, I love the poem, thank you. I sent this to my mom, my brother, my girlfriend, thank you. This poem changed my life, thank you. Because that's where you go when you're a hit. And overnight, I saw an explosion in my social media following. I got invitations to speak all around the world. And I dropped into a deep suicidal depression. I was in Bali when it happened, because that's where you go when you're a hippie and you're healing from a breakup. Tropical weather, great food, beautiful sunsets. And one morning I turn on my phone and I immediately notice that something's different. I have thousands upon thousands of new followers. My poem hadn't gone viral, it had gone mega viral. It got 40 million views in the first. Bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always thought self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend that noticed that I was quick to defend her when she'd say something negative about herself. She'd say, I'm so dumb, and I'd say, you're so brilliant. She'd say, I'm so weak, and I'd say, you're so resilient. And when she said, I feel ugly, and I said, you look beautiful, she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, and you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug, and she said, treat yourself like someone you love. Treat yourself like someone you love. And now I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me is the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I'm not any more special or unique than you. That's why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me. They are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for. that poem is one of the most viral in history. It has been viewed over 250 million times. When it was first posted in 2018, it spread like wildfire, and overnight, I saw an explosion in my social media following. I got invitations to speak all around the world, and I dropped into a deep suicidal depression. I was in Bali when it happened, because that's where you go when you're a hippie and you're healing from a breakup. Tropical weather, great food, beautiful sunsets, and one morning I turn on my phone and I immediately notice that something's different. I have thousands upon thousands of new followers. My poem hadn't gone viral, it had gone mega viral. It got 40 million views in the first 48 hours. In fact, it would continue to get more than 1 million views a day for the next several months. But with that came the messages. Hundreds of DMs that flooded my inbox, most of them being messages of appreciation. They said, "I love the poem, thank you. I sent this to my mom, my brother, my girlfriends, thank you. This poem changed my life, thank you." But for every 9 of those, there was one that was very different. One that would say something like, "I don't know how to love myself. Can you help me? My husband hits me and I'm too scared to leave. Can you help me? I'm thinking of killing myself tomorrow. Can you help me?" And I couldn't. I didn't have an answer. I had a poem that was getting millions of views a day, but I didn't know how to respond to people who needed something more than a poem. And I felt like I was letting them down. I felt like a fraud. I felt so much shame and guilt that my body began to break down until eventually I found myself one day locked away in a dark hotel room, feverish, shivering, covered in sweat, unable to open the curtains because any amount of light was excruciatingly painful to my eyes and my head. And what I didn't know at the time was that moment was the beginning of a long and painful journey. A multi-year quest deep into depression so that I could find the answer that I didn't have. How do we learn to love ourselves? What does that actually look like? Truthfully, I didn't know where to start. And I did believe that self-love was the answer. I hadn't faked the poem, I just didn't know what it looked like in action. Treat yourself like someone you love, but how? For me, that looked like doing anything and everything that I thought would qualify as self-love. If I didn't know what would work, I would just do it all. Meditation, journaling, writing poetry, playing music, singing, dancing, shaking, cold plunges, saunas, taking baths, hiring coaches, doing all the therapies, CBT, IFS, TRE, NLP, EMDR, you just say the letters, I did it. Detoxes, juice cleanses, water fasts, psychic readings, astrology readings, tarot readings, plant medicine journeys deep in the Amazon jungle, punching pillows, primal screaming, and naked mirror work. Yes, I stood naked in front of a mirror and I said, "I love you," over and over, because that's what you do when you're desperate and a hippie. And the thing was, at the time, I was watching a lot of content about self-love. But the thing was, so much of that content spoke about self-love like it was a switch, an on or an off. You either have it or you don't. And because I believed that, I kept doing all of these things, seeking that moment when my self-love would click on. But it never did. Every day I kept spending hours showing up for myself, expecting a big shift that never came. Instead, I saw a little one, and then another, and then another. And I started to realize that the reason why I had felt so lost was because I didn't understand the essence of self-love. It's not a switch. It's a result. It is the result of how we show up for ourselves each and every day. Self-love is the byproduct of your relationship with yourself. And it is a relationship that needs all the same things as any other, but because it's inner, we often don't know where to start. So I started to use a framework developed by Dr. Gary Chapman called the 5 love languages. In it, they give you 5 categories that you can focus on if you want to deepen the connection you feel in a relationship. Acts of service, quality time, physical touch, gifts, and words of affirmation. Now, these are normally used in context of your relationship to others, but they can be used with ourselves. Let's take quality time as an example. How much connection is actually happening when 2 people are sitting together, but they're both separately on their phones? And yet, how often do we do that exact same thing by ourselves? We're just ignoring that inner voice in favor of mindlessly scrolling because we've confused the idea of being alone with spending quality time with ourselves. And how about words of affirmation? How would you feel if someone was constantly telling you that you were dumb, that you were not good enough, that you were never going to succeed? And yet, how often do we say those exact words to ourselves, sometimes on a daily basis? The good news is that we can change that through a combination of our attention and our intention. With the 5 love languages used as a direction, we can point our attention there, and when we do that, we will start to catch those little moments when we're not so loving to ourselves. And when you combine that new awareness with the intention to love yourself more deeply, you will start to unlock new choices that you previously couldn't see. Ways that you can actually strengthen that relationship to yourself and love yourself more deeply. And when you start to make those new choices, you will unlock the next clues that the universe is leaving you on how to achieve your intention. Yes, even if we don't like it, the universe is always giving us our next step. Sometimes that next step can be very, very scary, like leaving a toxic relationship, quitting our job, or starting therapy. But often, it's a really small next step, but equally important, like writing a poem, or finally watching that TED Talk on self-love your friend sent you. For me, it was all of the above, and a mirror. So for all the people that wrote me asking for an answer so many years ago, I'm really sorry that I didn't have it back then. But I want to say thank you for helping me find it so that I could give it to all the people who need it today. And if you are one of those people, I want you to know that it is possible. It is 100% possible for you to get out of the darkness. And even if it takes years, it is so worth it. I know because I did it. Day by day, the voices in my head got a little less mean. I still get sad sometimes, but I show up completely differently for myself when I do. Because I've started to relate completely differently to my own emotions. I relate differently to other people. And I relate differently to life itself. I learned how to love myself. And just like the poem said would happen, my world got brighter and my load got lighter. And that is something worth writing poetry about. And so I'd like to close today with one more poem. It's a poem that I call Heaven. Can I have everyone take a nice deep inhale and exhale? The most impactful thing you can do for the world is learn how to love life. All of life. Show people that being happy doesn't mean turning a blind eye to the pain and the sadness and the suffering that happens here. Show them that choosing love doesn't mean ignoring fear, it just means being willing to feel. And those brave souls will always heal as long as they maintain the courage to feel. Because the fear of feeling's really at the root of every fear, which creates the fear of living because feeling's why we're here. So you can fight the fact that feelings past have felt so freaking hard, but it's the very fact you have felt all that feels like the part we should celebrate. Investigate. Learn to navigate with ease. Your emotions are the gift God gives you every time you breathe. Energy in motion with the strength to bring a king down to his knees, and yet contained within the emotion is the key to set you free. Yes, contained within emotion is the gift of what being human is, a chance to feel all of life, from deep sorrow to deep bliss. And you might wish the two would split, but the twist is that they'll always coexist, because even the heartbreak you hate today had the way paved by a lover's kiss. So you can write your list of how life's a bitch, but don't forget the asterisk, because for all the times you went through shit, it fertilized a lot of gifts. But when you only focus on what you lack, you can't appreciate what you've got. But with gratitude for what you have, you can see that it's a lot. And that is the difference between abundance and scarcity. It's not about what you have, it's about what you see. So the next time you forget how blessed you be, take a moment and focus on the next breath you breathe. The next time you forget how blessed you be, take a moment and focus on the next breath you breathe. And notice, you're right here with me. A miracle, a great mystery. Out of hundreds of trillions of stars and hundreds of billions of galaxies, somehow, some way, you're here today with me, and we all breathe on a spinning sphere of chemicals, spiraling through the universe. You were once one of 200 million sperm. You just happened to get there first. So how could you ever say you're cursed? You've been blessed since before your birth, and you might not think you have it best, but it could definitely be worse. And if you don't believe that yet, go tell the deaf what you just heard. If you don't like what you see, go tell the blind how much it hurts. On your hardest day, when you really want to walk away, go tell the paraplegic how it's unfair. Share how you want to run from all your problems while he's pushed everywhere in a chair. And I'm not saying that life is fair or that it's easy. We all go through a lot. But as you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, don't lose gratitude for the fact that you walk. Celebrate the fact that you can dance and sing. Embrace the abundance in the very act when you talk. Because when you can spot abundance in the simplest things, that's when more abundance unlocks. The simplest things. Taste and touch and breath and smell. Did you know there are people with something called anosmia, which means their sense of smell is completely lost. So while they literally can't smell the roses, do you want to complain you don't have the time to stop? Because this life is the only one that you've got. And there are people who would trade places with you without a second thought. So no matter how many tears, heartbreaks, or bad days you pay, the cemetery is full of souls that know living is worth the cost. Don't wait till it's too late to learn that lesson. Living is worth the cost. But make no mistake, being alive is not the same thing as living. Just like throwing something away is not the same thing as giving. So if you haven't yet found your love of life, I suggest you keep on digging and allow yourself to feel your way through all the hurt and all the rage. And as you feel, allow yourself to finally turn the page. That's how we heal. And it might hurt like hell, but you'll have shown us we'll be okay to feel it all and still love life. That's heaven. And you'll have helped pave the way. That's heaven. Can you feel it? Heaven is here today.
Could you look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, me? A few years ago, I couldn't. Saying those 4 words would have been really difficult. I did not love myself, and I didn't see what could possibly be lovable about me. Well, I've come a long way since then, and now not only will I say those words, I will sing them for you as well. Today, I'll share a bit of my healing journey from self-hatred to real self-love. It's the true story of how music saved my life and set me free from several diagnoses, including depression. I was born in Nevada, and when I was 3 years old, my parents got divorced. My mother then moved our family to Denver, Colorado, so she could finish medical school. When she got into private practice, I was shuffled between school and the babysitter and my older sister. When it was the weekends, I begged my mom to go to the hospital with her. So as she did her patient rounds, I would hang out in the gift shop. And I was always very quiet and well-behaved, mainly because at home, my mother repeated often, children are to be seen, not heard, just as she was told when she grew up. Now, the conversations on the phone with my father were mainly about how I was doing in school. He came from the generation that believed that with an education, you could get a good job, a pension, and a secure future. So when he found out that I was performing in a music recital or a school play, I often heard the tone of disapproval in his voice. He told me I needed to focus on my grades. Successful musicians and actors are just 1 in a million. My dad grew up in Tennessee. It's one of the United States known for country music, and many people travel there to look for fame, but very few people find it. Now, my dad is actually an excellent guitar and banjo player, and he excels in photography. So it's really not surprising that music and creative arts are natural passions for me. But he always discouraged me from pursuing them as a career, because he had seen too many people try and fail at that. So I worked really hard at school so that I could keep my dad's approval, so that I could keep performing in theater, band, and choir. It was through music and theater that I could move and release the emotions that were bottled up inside of me. And it was on stage that I was finally told it was good to be seen and totally acceptable to speak up and sing out loud. So, when I got to university, I performed in community theater, I discovered video production, and I became the general manager of our campus TV station as a pre-med student. And this is when my father told me that I was a dilettante, just like him. Enter diagnosis number 1. Dilettante, a person who cultivates an area of interest, such as the arts, without serious commitment or knowledge. Synonyms include dabbler, tinkerer, trifler, amateur, non-professional, non-specialist. Pretty negative, right? Isn't it amazing how quickly we slap a label on anything that's outside of the box instead of encouraging the individuality within each of us? Once again, my father urged me to focus on my studies so that I could get accepted to medical school. and I felt the need to hide and downplay my true passions and interests. I didn't want to be seen as not serious. So from childhood to early adulthood, I became a chameleon. I did everything I could to look, sound, and behave in serious, acceptable ways. And over time, I noticed this growing sense of unease. I never quite felt comfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel like I was good enough. And I was terrified that someone would find out I wasn't smart enough. And sadly, I never got to enjoy the fruits of my hard labor. Getting all A's on a report card or a standing ovation didn't make me feel good about myself or proud. In fact, my self-worth never increased based on the things I did. But I still tried really hard to be perfect. And I remember feeling intense shame anytime that urge for creative expression bubbled up inside of me. It was not a fun way to live, and I was pretty sad and alone. When I got to medical school, I studied day and night. And for the first time, I had no time for all of the artistic things on the side. And that underlying sadness, well, that turned into really dark moods. So I went to Student Health Services to get some help. And that's when I received diagnosis number 2, depression. The doctor gave me 3 prescriptions, 1 for antidepressants, 1 for sessions with a therapist. Now, the therapy sessions were actually helpful. It felt good to finally confess how stressed and sad I was. The antidepressants, though, they just made me feel numb. Instead of low moods, I felt flat. But the 3rd prescription she gave me was the most effective and the most surprising. When I applied for medical school, this same doctor interviewed me, and I was surprised that she remembered that I played classical piano. She asked, "How often do you play piano now?" And I looked at her like she was crazy. Who has time for playing music when you're surrounded by brainiacs who seem to know everything already when I have to study constantly? She suggested that I play piano for 30 minutes a day. And when I looked at her like she was off her rocker, she said 30 minutes a week. To this doctor, it seemed completely logical and totally acceptable that I should engage in an activity that brought me joy. And expressing myself through music always felt good, yet I denied myself that pleasure when I needed it most. My mind had been so programmed to deny, shut down, and belittle myself for my creativity that I was really suffering. Well, I took her advice, and I started playing piano more. And I'm convinced that this is what got me through med school alive. Now, I wish I could say I graduated with total self-acceptance, but no. When I got to my medical residency, I basically threw myself into the 100-hour work week with gusto. And I also studied acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And once again, I heard a judgmental voice telling me I needed to seriously focus on just one thing. But it wasn't my dad. Apparently, the people around me were confused by my integrative and holistic approach to wellness and my multiple interests. I heard things like, "Are you a doctor, actor, singer, acupuncturist?" The assumption was that I was unfocused, not serious. But why do we have to be only one thing? And why can't we celebrate all parts of us? Have you ever felt a little bad because you have a lot of ideas or interests? Yeah, thank you. Lots of things you want to explore. Well, these people told me they thought I had ADD. Welcome to diagnosis number 3. Once again, I felt the need to suppress my authentic self even more. I became an aggressive go-getter, intensely driven to build up my credibility through advanced degrees, licenses, and certifications. The joke in the family was, Andrea has more degrees than a thermometer. And all of the shiny wealth that I earned did not spark any joy. Instead, I had these constant thoughts that it was never enough and nothing really mattered. And I woke up every day feeling totally empty. I dreaded leaving the house, and it was only a sense of obligation that motivated me to put on that happy face and rally for the daily grind. I was a functional depressive. Just 3 years into my professional career, I had published my first book, appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show multiple times, and I regularly stood on stages flashing a smile from ear to ear. But that smile did not reflect true happiness. On the inside, I was miserable, but nobody knew it, because I hid that too. The price for driving myself so intensely and constantly searching for approval had given way to feelings of self-hatred and burnout. And like a dark, heavy cloak, depression became a constant presence in my life. It was as burdensome and constricting as a tight coat soaked through from the rain and dripping in black, sticky tar. And this cloak of depression had an oversized hood that would droop over my eyes, blocking my vision. It compressed my ears, muffling the rich sounds of life and the music of my heart. And worst of all, it allowed sad thoughts of hopelessness to sink into my mind. And then I hit rock bottom. In 2005, I asked God to take my life. Now, I was not suicidal. I had no plan to harm myself, but I did not want the life I was living to go on anymore. While I was on vacation in the Mediterranean, I was invited to sing at this glorious hot spot in Saint-Tropez. And as I'm on the mic singing my jazzy soul tune, I watched as a sea of people moved and swayed, and I felt free. I felt as though I were being received as me. And when I got to my hotel in Cannes, I woke up the next morning thinking, what just happened? There, I experienced pure bliss and total flow. And in 2 days, I'd have to go back into that dark, depressing box of conformity. And that's when I lost it. I cried out to God saying, take it. Take my body, my talents, my business. I don't know what I'm doing with it. And as I cried, I was shaking. I flung myself onto the bed, and I felt my body melt into the bed. There was this intensely bright light, and I felt myself being drawn into the light. And as I left my body, I thought God was answering my prayer. And that's when I saw several visions that completely changed my entire perspective on life. First, I saw a total life review where each and every decision I made, whether consciously or not, logically led to that point of depression. I saw that when we come to Earth, it's up to us to decide who we will be and what we will become, not our parents, society, or even religion. And when I understood that I have the power to choose, and my choices impact my experience and my feelings, that's when I was shown a vision of just a beautiful, sparkly future that inspired me to say yes to life. I came back into my body, and that depression was gone. I came out of that experience knowing that no matter the drama and trauma we endure or the karma we accumulate, at our core, we are pure, truly lovable, and we deserve to be celebrated for our uniqueness, not crammed into some box of conformity. Thanks to the awakening inspired by my musical epiphany, I was able to surrender my ego and reconnect with the essence of my true self, where all of my past programming was replaced. And I left Cannes a changed woman. The last city I visited before returning was Barcelona, where once again I stood on stage to sing. And it's where I met this beautiful singer-songwriter named Meritxell, the Latin queen of soul. And we found out that we lived not 30 minutes apart back in DC, and we pinky swore that we would get together when we returned. Well, when I got back home, I started to dismantle the life I once knew and hated, and I began to design my diamond life, as I now call it. I deepened my spiritual practice with yoga, meditation, and qigong. I started singing and writing music more. I performed with Meritxell, and we got together to work on a song, which I will sing for you today. Reconnecting with music saved my life, and it allowed me to live as my authentic self. I was able to replace that heavy, dark cloak of depression with a light cape of creativity. It also inspired me to launch a not-for-profit, real self-love movement to freely share resources for healing and self-love tools through books, documentaries, events, and and of course, through music. So before I sing for you, please know this. I don't think that you need to move to a foreign country, perform on stage, or even have a mystical out-of-body experience to learn or remember that you are truly lovable and accepted as you are. My experience was quite a convoluted adventure, but I know now there's a gentler path to reviving the authentic self. It's about returning to your true home. So what about you? Have you been wearing that fake I'm fine mask, but deep down inside you feel that urge, that rumbling, inviting you to be truly you? Have you been placed into a box of diagnoses that don't quite fit? Is there a part of you that you have denied or disowned? I invite you to reclaim those lost or hidden parts of yourself. Reconnect with what makes your heart sing. And it doesn't have to become your career, but it may be the catalyst for your rebirth, giving you the courage to step up and live as your authentic self. And remember, you don't have to look like anybody else. Now, I'm not sharing my story today to put any shame or blame on my parents. They love me, and they did what they knew based on their upbringing. But my experience has inspired me to parent my daughter differently. Now, many people ask if I regret becoming a doctor. I don't. This line of work really satisfies my nerdy left brain love of science, and it's part of what makes me authentically me. It hasn't stopped me from launching a branding, media, and publishing company to satisfy my right brain, creative side. Now, we've been told that diagnoses like ADD, depression, and anxiety are these terrible brain diseases. And I don't deny that they are real conditions, and I'm in favor of effective treatments. But I believe they may be symptoms of disconnection with the authentic self. Losing the connection to your true essence and having your power to choose stripped away through early childhood experiences may be part of why you feel so bad. I wasted so much time and energy trying to give the word dilettante a positive spin. But I realize it's an archaic, outdated term, and it's so much healthier for me to embrace my true nature as a multi-potential Renaissance human. I believe we all need to embrace all of who we are to be truly healthy, happy, whole, and fulfilled. It's my deepest desire and my highest wish that you can also look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, me. Thank you.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me what you see. I see greatness deep inside.
Love is a choice. When I decide to love somebody and be with them and respect them and be loyal, it means that no matter how fluctuated my feelings are or what I'm going through, that I stand with that choice I make and I stick to my ground because it's a choice. I understand that that person is exactly what I need, and therefore I don't depend on my feelings or emotions. I'm depending on the choice I make. I do understand people have traumas and I do sympathize with them and I feel bad, but I don't feel bad for the people who don't do anything about it, because you're choosing to remain the same. You're choosing not to self-reflect. You're choosing not to grow. And you're choosing to bleed on the people who didn't cut you, basically. You were born, you were given a name, you were given a title, you were given a life, you were told how to eat, you were told this is wrong, this is right. You were told everything, how to act, how to speak, what to do, what to believe in. Aren't you curious to discover who you are? Yeah. Aren't you curious to know, if you haven't had all this conditioning and all this teaching, who would you be? Like, who are you?
All right, we are here for our first ever Dubai podcast with Sarah. So Sarah, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome. As jet lagged as you are,
as jet lagged as I am,
welcome to Dubai.
If my eyes are, bloodshot in this shot, you know why.
No, you look great.
Yeah, perfect. But we're so excited to have you. If you don't know this, Sarah is probably, you've seen her on your TikTok feed. She is the great motivational speaker, and you talk about so many different topics and provide so much value to people. So thank you so much for coming on today.
No, it's a complete pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I think I kind of want to start to kind of learn more, like, how did you get on to this spiritual journey and journey yourself to get to where you are today?
Well, the beginning of my spiritual journey started when I was going through a divorce. And at the same time, while I was going through a divorce from an abusive relationship, my business partner robbed me from all my money in the company we had together. So I was in a situation where, okay, I have nothing. My best friend just like screwed me over. All the money's gone. I have so much responsibilities. I don't know what to do. And at the same time, I was like, my personal life is falling apart and I'm asking for a divorce. So I was going through like a torn time between my business and myself. And I was like, why does this all happen all together? I don't get it. So it was basically from hitting rock bottom. And when you hit rock bottom, pain either, beats you or teaches you, basically. So I decided, instead of like dwelling in pain and like playing the blame game where I blame my business partner or my life partner or like blaming them for how bad they are, what they've done, I decided to just focus on me and build a lot of curiosity to, where did I go wrong? What's wrong with my choices? Why do I choose wrong boyfriends, husbands? Why do I choose wrong business partners? What is wrong with me? And that's where self-growth started. And I went through a spiritual journey because I remember, when sometimes everything goes down a spiral, all the bad things happen at once.
Yes, when it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours, right? And everything was like pouring hard at me at that time. So I remember I was sitting at home and I got a phone call from the government. And they said, I've been elected by His Highness to be a board member in the government. And then that was the moment where I realized that God never abandons you, Even though it's been pouring, it's bad, everything's going down, I lost a lot, but He opened a window. A door got closed, but a window got open. And that's when I realized that if you just trust the process, everything happens not to you, it's for you. Yeah. And that was the beginning of the spiritual journey.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess like when you were going through rock bottom, what were you doing to kind of get yourself through those days? Because it's tough every single day to even get up out of bed and just like wake up with so much like pain and emotional burden. Like what kept you going through those times?
I think it's because for me, my biggest inspiration is death. Knowing I'm going to die any second helps me not to take the decision of dwelling in sadness or staying down. Okay, I'm a human. I can cry. I can feel sad. I can have emotions, but I should never dwell. You can have feelings, but you don't stay in those feelings. So I knew that it's not worth it to just sit here and just be upset the whole time and angry, because in a minute, in an hour, in a day, I'm not going to be here. So it's not worth it. Time is precious. So that's my biggest motivation. That's what kept me going, knowing that that's the only thing promised: death. Nor success, nor fame, nor money, nothing, no friends, no love is promised. So that kept me going. But also, I remember after the day I got that phone call from the government when they said you've been elected, I knew that, God has a plan. And, like sometimes us as humans, God sends us signs, shows us everything. We turn the blind eye. We decide not to see things for who they are or what they are. And when this happens, we're always misguided to a wrong direction towards our path. And sometimes God has to shake you up, like slap here and there for you to wake up so you'd realize this is not for you. And if I didn't do that to you, and if you didn't go through this pain, you wouldn't have walked away. So I just learned how to trust the process. And it's the art of surrender, I call it. In my religion, we call it tawakkul in Islam, but it's called the art of surrender, which is whatever choices you make in life, bad, good, whatever happens to you, it's always for your best. And you never lose. You're either learning or winning. That's it. So that's what kept me going. It's the mindset. It's not that I have a magic power or that I'm born differently or I practice certain things that I can teach to you. It's just a mindset. It's having the right mindset that can help you survive everything you go through and thrive, basically.
Yeah. What's interesting that you said that I've never really thought about is your biggest inspiration is death. Like, obviously I don't want to die. I haven't thought about death yet.
But you are dying.
Exactly.
Everyone's dying.
Everyone's dying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go through your mind, you know, like a day-to-day basis. So I think, is that what kind of made you not have any more fear?
It's understanding the concept of death, because death means the end of your physical body, but not the end of your journey, because your spirit, your soul doesn't die. It's just your physical body, your experience in earth and 3D world ends, but off to the next chapter. So death is not life interrupted, it's life complete on this chapter, on this level. So if you think of it as a video game, you know, you've finished this level and you go to the next level. So for me, even like, I think it all came, this kind of understanding and mindset came out of me going back to religion. And instead of believing everything people told me about religion, which is like blind faith passed through generations, I went and I started educating myself about my religion. And I was reading and I was learning. And then, you know, something that always like shocked me, it says that in my religion, it says that when somebody dies, you can mourn for 3 days. More than that, it's not okay, it's not allowed. And I never understood why. But after reading so much into it, I understood that God is allowing you to cry. As a human, you have feelings, right? And you're not going to see the person again. But at the same time, he says 3 days because this is not the end of that person. You're not going to see them physically, but they're off to the next chapter. So understanding that death is not the end, I don't fear death. Like, I'm ready to go any second. That's how I see it, you know? And before I go, I want to make sure I am living and not just existing. Because my biggest fear is not death. My biggest fear is not losing money or losing someone I love, because eventually we all will lose each other, right? But my biggest fear is existing and not using the time wisely and the gift that God gave me to be in this experience wisely and to depart without anything, like no memories.
I need to adopt this mindset for Monday when I first go skydiving, which is what I told you. Now this is the mental reframe I need.
Sarah told me it's not the end of the world. Let me jump.
Let me jump. All right, this is the time.
Oh my God, you're gonna love the experience.
So you've skydived multiple times, right?
Anything with adrenaline, I love. But I'll tell you something that's embarrassing. Before having a baby, I used to do a lot of these things. After having a baby, you're like second guessing and thinking about everything you do.
You're more risk averse now.
Yeah, I take the risks,
Yeah.
but I'm like always thinking, okay, if something happens to me, what is he gonna do? Like, who's gonna take care of him? So it's like having a child changes your priorities and the way you look at things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, what have you learned from being a mom? Like, what are some things that you didn't really take on before?
I think patience. If you don't have patience, don't get kids, you know? They need a lot of patience. Patience, and then a lot of, let me put it in this way. Us humans, we all have the empathy switch, right? Where some people decide to switch it on and off whenever they want. Some people have their empathy and sympathy switch on all the time. Some have it completely off. So when I had him, my son, he taught me how to look at the world in a different way, how to sympathize with people in a different way, how to just love unconditionally. Because if you think you've loved in your life, wait until you have a child. That is unconditional. And then you start to learn how love is and how it should be. And then you realize that everything you know about love back then was all conditional. Like, you do this for me, I control this, you do that, and, you know, I love you. Then I'll feel like you're worth my love. But when you have a child, you realize, nah, love is unconditional. And then you don't settle for anything less than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think patience is a big one that you mentioned. Big one.
Yeah.
Because even just seeing like my aunts and uncles with like their kids, because I have a pretty big family. We have 8. My mom has 8 sisters and brothers. So, and everyone has kids now.
That was an Arab thing.
No, like my grandparents went crazy. So there's 8 on that side. My dad's side he has 4 sisters.
Wow, that's
so
a big family.
It's a big family.
Yeah.
And like everyone on my mom's side has like 4 kids each. So it's but I just see it because their kids are always yelling and screaming and fighting. So it's
you like playing with them, but then returning them back.
yes, that's how I know I'm not ready. Is like, you know, I can deal with it for a few hours at the family gathering, but not.
Actually, you know what? This concept of I'm not ready doesn't really exist, because your mind will not accept the fact that your freedom is kind of over, your priorities will change, so your mind fights against it. I was not ready when I had my son. I was going through a divorce at the time. And then I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting divorced and I'm pregnant. What am I going to do? So the minute I heard his heartbeats, you know, with the machine, the scan they have, suddenly I was showered with feelings I've never felt before. From being like all panicked about the whole situation and upset and confused to I am ready. So it's like something that happens when the time happens. Like when you're having a child, you will be ready regardless of anything. Unless like there are people that, you know, cut from a different cloth that don't like children. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true as well. I see just like the switch going off.
Yeah.
So nice. So I guess you basically went through this extremely tough time, and then you said you really focus on your spiritual journey, right? What kind of set you on that path? Like, it sounds like you grew up religious, but you never really like took it into your own hands to like dive deeper.
Okay, so definitely all the bad experiences. I felt like they were pushing me towards spirituality indirectly. But, you know, a lot of people say we've never seen God. But for me, I've seen God in so many situations, not physically, not a picture, not a body, but I've seen his love and mercy touch my life in different situations where I thought it's over. You know, there's no way anything can fix a situation. It's messed up. It's the end. But I've seen him reach out in crazy ways and beautiful ways and flip everything around. So how could I not believe? How could I not be curious? How could I not go on a journey to understand that I am a soul with a human experience? So this body is not who I am. You know, I am something completely different. This is my vessel to experience this world. Because if you think about it, if we were just energy and God never gave us the human experience, we would never know how it feels to eat a burger, how to touch, how to smell, how to feel. So what a beautiful gift God gave us to collect all this data and then depart into our next journey. So I just dived in completely into understanding what my soul needs, not what my body needs, you know, and understanding why am I here? What's my purpose? Like, because I usually, people are, how can I put it this way? We were programmed that we grow up, get a job, education, start a business, whatever it is, make money, and that's what life is about. But if you sit down and think deeply about it, you're like, okay, so I go to school, I graduate, I start a business or I get a job, I collect all this money, I buy this house, this car, but then I die, none of it goes with me. So this whole concept of life that we've been conditioned to believe doesn't make sense. So why are we here if that's not the purpose? Why aren't my cars and my homes and my money migrating with me to the next level when I die? So then you realize that everything in life is just borrowed, you know? It's just borrowed for a certain amount of time. It's a test. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to make the world or life a better place for everybody and for yourself? And then you depart and leave it here. So then when you look at life and you think like, oh my God, everything I was told is a lie. So what is life about? And then you go into this deep state of curiosity and you ask yourself, okay, why am I here? What's my purpose? What's God's message in me? What am I doing here? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And the more you sleep on that idea and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you start getting signs, you start attracting the right people that know more about these things. You educate your spirit because the body is educated through experiences, you know, education, family, traditions, whatever. But the soul wants you to discover its purpose, its journey, educate it, find out who you really are. Because they say when we come to this world, we already had a life. Our spirit was in a different stage somewhere, and then we were sent here. So if I was somewhere and then I was sent here, that means I have something to remember. And if if you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you can connect with your soul on a crazy level. It's basically, and I always tell people this, I say this probably on every podcast. I say, when you listen to music in your car, and how is the music carried to you? It's not an object you cannot touch, feel, or see. It's vibrations, it's frequency carrying the music, and your ear can listen to the music through the frequency. Your higher self, you know, the universe has a frequency, just like a radio channel, but we're not used to tuning into that radio channel because we have to work on our breathing, our mindset, our habits, the way we think, the way we look at things. All of these things contribute into us, you know, tuning into the right frequency. And once you tune into the right frequency, my God, the downloads you get are insane. And I've had these experiences. It's not like I'm not speaking woo-woo language. It's something that I've tried and I've seen and I've downloaded things. And yeah, you just feel like we're distracted. There's so much distractions.
I think when you hear the word spirituality nowadays, everyone thinks it sounds like this woo-woo thing, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like on the topic of energy, when you meet someone, I'm sure you feel their energy and different people calibrate differently. What do you think separates that person who radiates that warm energy where you know they're like in tune with themselves versus someone else?
So the thing is, for you, first of all, to be spiritual, you have to go through healing. So you got to heal yourself from a lot of traumas and everything you've been through. So I always say don't underestimate the power of healing.
Healing as in like
From your
breath work,
traumas.
meditation.
Healing, there are like healing can be either therapy, but I've done therapy and I've done spiritual healing. And spiritual healing really helped me more. I've done hypnotherapy, it helped me a lot because what scientists discover recently is that memory and trauma stays in the body on a cellular level. So your cells have memory and they carry this memory with them. That's why, for example, if someone went through a hard time and they never spoke about it and they kept their feelings to themselves, they start building like digestive problems or IBS or colon issues. So everything you feel manifests into physical things in your body because the body keeps everything on a cellular level. Everything is memorized in each cell. So you need to heal your body, and that helps you to be aligned more. Now, once you've done the work, once you decided to be the best version of yourself, done spirituality, done the work, done the healing, you start picking up on people's energies. And it's easy to realize who is aligned and who's not, who's done the work and who's not. Like nowadays, I walk into a room, which is crazy because there's one thing they didn't tell you about healing is once you heal, you become a little bit lonely. But I'd rather have that loneliness because it's much healthier than having the wrong people around me. You become lonely because you start picking up patterns, cycles of people. You started picking up their issues. You know who's done the work, who doesn't want to do the work, what kind of issues they have. Like I'd walk into a room and like people would be talking. And in my mind, I go like, okay, mommy issues. Okay, daddy issues.
Wow,
okay,
okay.
Abandonment issues. You can understand what they have from their energy, from their body language, from their eye contacts. It's like you pick up everything. It's like a signal. So that's why I don't mix a lot with people and I choose my circle very wisely. And it's a small circle and quality over quantity for me. And I love it that way. And that's why I don't even live in the city. I was telling you earlier, I live far away from the city because I am, after doing all the healing and all the spiritual work, I am so like on when it comes to people's energies. I can pick it up so fast. And if you're an empath and you still don't know how to control your power and you don't know how to control the empathy you have within you, and you're still learning to love yourself and appreciate yourself, being around people like that confuses your energy because you pick up on people's pain and then get involved and sucked into their, you know, to everything they're going through, although it's not your problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I actually did breath work a couple weeks before coming here. And I had a breathwork coach come to my house and she came with a bunch of different things, but it was an hour long. And this was the first time I did breathwork. I think I've only done it one time before and it was like 8 years ago at some class. But I remember going through it and at one point, 15 minutes in, my body just goes numb and like the emotions start going out. And for me, my emotion was anger. Mm-hmm. And I think just being able to do things like that spiritually that tap into the energy side of you, the spiritual side of you, really, like, that helped me connect with myself more. I feel like after, like, I was so present, I was so in tune with myself. So
That's amazing, because I don't know if you realize this, but there's a huge consciousness shift in the world. A lot of people are like turning into spirituality and going deeper within themselves to understand, and everyone is starting to accept the idea that there's much more to who we are. We're divine beings than whatever we've been told. And think about it in this way: spirituality to the spirit is like university and school to the body. It's, you need to take your spirit to that journey. You need to go through that journey so you can discover who you are. We don't really know who we are until we do the work and we go within and we face our demons. And you said you felt anger, so release those emotions that are stuck inside and just heal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the brain is just such a powerful, I think it's the most powerful muscle we have yet.
No.
You think it's
No. Scientists just discovered that the heart has neurons just like the brain does, and even more than the brain. So the heart thinks for itself. I feel like the heart, usually, how people say, oh, the mind knows the truth, but the heart wants what it wants. That's why people end up in toxic relationships and all that. That's not true. The heart knows what's right. It's the brain that tricks you into staying in toxic relationships because it has the storage. It has the file drawer with the memories, and it convinces you that, okay, try again, let's do this. Maybe, he'd change, maybe she'd change. So it's the mind that tricks us, but the heart always knows what's right. The heart is so wise. Like, it's insane. Like, imagine this is something they just discovered recently, that the heart thinks for itself. It has its own brain, basically. And this is something new in science. But yeah, it's basically creating peace with those two organs, and making them work together instead of against each other. Or you just pick one of them and set the other one on fire. Like, it's, pick your journey. But I feel like the more we understand how our body works, how our spirit works, how things work, the more we understand how to tackle things in life. And there's another part of the brain that is extremely powerful. Basically, that's okay, how do I put it in words so it doesn't sound freaky? You know the pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the pineal gland is, like they say, it's the God gland, because that's where all the power, all the divine energy, all the things that you can't believe and it's hard to believe, everything imaginary can happen in that pineal gland. It's the same effects. It can give you the same effects as psychedelics can give you if you know how to activate it. Now, what have they discovered recently? That the pineal gland has crystals on top of it.
Tôi đặt một trụ đá gần mình, cảm thấy không gian nhẹ nhàng. Tôi cầm trụ trên tay, cảm nhận gió độ chắc và tỷ lệ khi giữ. Tôi đặt bộ trụ lên. Tôi đặt một trụ đá gần mình, cảm